Hey, and welcome. So, in my Inferno retrospective, I kind of mentioned that this is my favourite level in Inferno, and I wanted to come around and just kind of play through it and talk through the bits that I really like. So, when you start this level, as we just did, you get the choice of whichever direction you want to go in. You don't have to come into this building. You can run to the right and head towards the plasma rifle. You can head to the left and grab the rockets and then head towards the rocket launcher. But what I like about this level is that for a 1993 level, and that's the important thing here, this is a 1993 level. All the WODs that have come afterwards, all the open plan level designs that have been made in Doom over the years were inspired by this level. This level was the starting point. And what I really like about this level is that as you start doing things in it, things in other parts of the level happen, and the monsters, for example all those cacodemons that are in front of us, will start chasing you through the level. You see, because I've already started shooting, all these enemies here have woken up. If you come here at the start, you can actually just drop down. But yeah, the thing with this level for me is that it gives you all the tools you need to take care of all the enemies in it. This isn't a cheap level where you're not handed weapons or you're not handed enough ammo. There's enough ammo and weapons here to go around, and it means that you can have some really fun battles. For example, these cacodemons here. Normally, I wouldn't see these guys here like this, but because I'm playing this a bit more casual, these guys have wandered around. So now, we've got a bit of an encounter here. And this is what I like about this level. There's plenty of ways that it can surprise you, and it can change itself up because of that open plan design. I think that people who don't like this level, they are totally justified in that decision, because this is the least linear level in the original trilogy of episodes. But for me, I think that what is done in this level in particular is very strong, because as you can see here, you're going into areas and it's giving you more rewards. So you walk into that area there with the armor, and then you get that area with the invulnerability. So the level's kind of teasing you along. It's giving you lots of breadcrumbs to follow. So you can see there's an invulnerability in there which I'm not going to grab. We will take out the lost soul here. So we're going to go and grab the plasma rifle here. I also like that there was a real effort to kind of make all of the buildings feel very distinctive, either through their shapes or through the textures. It just helps to kind of make these little landmarks more notable, so that people can't get completely lost in this level. I think that's one area where downtown really fails, because like you see a brown wall, a grey wall, a brown wall, but this level's really colourful and it's easy to remember the buildings when you're running past them. And it makes it a lot easier to keep track of where you are in the level, where you're heading. The only thing I don't like about this level is there's so many pain flaws, and this is something I kind of alluded to in my Inferno retrospective, but Inferno really goes over the top with its pain flaws, and this level's no exception. As you've probably noticed, there's a whole bunch of pain flaws around the central island, and the exit's hidden in a pain flaw as well, which I'm not a fan of. In fact, I will say that like Inferno really does go over the top on pain flaws, and it's a problem. It is a problem that this episode in particular has. The other episodes have it, but like not to the extent that this one does. But yeah, it's a hallmark of Inferno, unfortunately, and what it means is that you can't really make use of this pain flaw area except when you've got rad suits. Luckily, this level does give you quite a few rad suits. What I also like about this level is like there you can see the bridge drop down behind you, so there's kind of a risk-reward thing to all these little traps. I also kind of like that you don't actually have to come into this room, I believe. I think you can actually skip this, because this is the way you're supposed to come. But you can just drop down into the pit on the far side of the level and go into the teleporter there, and it'll kind of line you up with where you're meant to be going. So there are multiple ways to get to where you need to go, but of course you have to find your way. I can imagine for some newcomers this level's going to be very strange, because up to this point Doom kind of holds your hand and basically tells you this is the way you've got to go. So for example, we try and go in there, like look at all these lost souls here. Like these guys would have just flooded into the level and caused absolute chaos. And I like it. I like that, like, These guys are just here to cause chaos. They're not here to like hit you straight away. They're here to hit you like death by 1,000 cuts style. Now this is another part of this level I'm not a particular fan of. So I mentioned that you don't have to come in here, but if you do come in here, you are kind of trapped in here because you can't just go back out the way we just came in. So instead, you've got to keep your eyes out for these little candles here like this. So I don't know how a lot of players found the way towards this, but obviously, you know, they did. One thing I do like about this level is the scale, because I mean, like, look at the way this battle's playing out across the level. You're not just sort of face to face with the enemy. Sometimes they'll be across the level and you'll want to deal with them. So, oh, hello. I do think this level sort of goes big on the scale, and I do appreciate that, because a lot of the Ultimate Doom levels are very corridor focused and very, you know, we got to stick to one style. Speaking of narrow corridors, here's a narrow corridor for you. Now, I have no idea, like, what this texture is meant to be. I was alluding to this earlier. But I guess for me, like, I don't mind this level as much as I can imagine other people do. Because I think that this level takes a big gamble on basically trusting the player to be able to find their way around. And by this point, I mean, this is E3M6. If the player isn't able to kind of handle themselves with a more, like, open approach, I don't think they really should be playing Doom, should they, really? I mean, that's a bit harsh, but you know what I'm saying. Like, we're pretty much at the end of the original Doom game here. But this is one of those levels where you're basically asked to explore, and you're kind of asked to find your own direction. I think the other level that tries this in Doom 2 is Downtown, and I think we all know that that one kind of messes it up compared to this one. I think that this one's on, like, a similar level, so there's no, like, tall rooms that you have to go finding. There's no, like, long elevator rides. I think that this level does a great job in kind of keeping it in a nice self-contained little sandbox. Whereas I think Downtown kind of tries to add too much height and width to everything, and you end up kind of just getting confused. That's why I don't think Downtown works as a level compared to this. And yeah, they were both designed by the same guy, so obviously this was the inspiration for that. But as you can see here, these cacodemons have just spilled into the level, meaning that we have more encounters to deal with. Where did they come from? Who knows? Probably near the exit. But yeah, I respect what Mt Erebus does, and I think that it's probably the most fun level to explore in Doom, because you're not being kind of guided along in a linear path. Not to say that I don't think, like, the linear levels are bad at all. I think some of the best levels are the linear ones, but I respect what this level's trying to achieve. It's trying to kind of open the scope of Doom, and it's showing people that, yeah, we don't have to have a super linear level, and it can all still work. Now, this is the part that I really don't like on this level, because if you have no health, then you're pretty much crawling over this pain floor, desperately hoping, like, not to die. But yeah, I really have a fond spot for Mt Erebus. I can see why people love it. I can also see why people don't like it. If you just kind of want to go, you know, through linear levels, this one is not for you. But for me, probably the best level in Inferno, probably the best level in Ultimate Doom, to be honest. It's definitely in the top 3. But thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed this discussion video. Let me know what you think of this level.